We have another question I'd like to move on to. This one effectively expresses some frustration that there has been a lot of talk about people coming in to the area, a lot of new cars being introduced that will likely have an impact on street parking. And so sort of to paraphrase this, and I don't know if Sam, Forest City, Empire State, or DOT want to comment on this, are there any plans for residential permit parking?
Want to take that, Chris?
Residential permit parking is something that DOT has looked at in the past in conjunction with the congestion pricing proposal we had several years ago. In terms of whether residential permit parking could be something that we explore in conjunction with, in this area in particular, arena, it is something we are going to be looking at over the next few months. So that is something we are open to. We need to explore it, how it would work, and that's something we'll be looking at between now and when the arena opens, and obviously we'll have more details once we've explored that.
I think there's a very interested community that is eager to hear more on residential permit parking. Thank you, Chris. Please provide more detail about on-site bicycle parking. Will it be sheltered and be a secure parking facility? And part two, what happens to the bicycle parking facility after building number 1 is erected?
In terms of the bike parking facility, it will be open during events. We're working with some operators, and as part of the TDM program, we're going to come back to you on the details of seeing whether we can have it open around the clock. It will be secure. That was your first question. The bike parking, 400 spaces, will be provided in the temporary condition and will be provided in the permanent condition. And it will always be secure during the arena events. And we're going to get back to you about the other hours, and that's over the next 6 months when we come back to you figuring out how we get people out of their cars.
Since the initial street closures, I guess this is actually referring to the congestion that might be directly related to construction-related activities in the area. Honking has increased substantially at intersections that are experiencing new delays. What additional steps can the police department take to enforce the honking laws?
I think I would have to talk to the police department.
I can speak to that. I was meeting with folks in the area, and DOT is actually looking at installing speed bump along Pacific, and we put in a request to DEP, which installs the no honking sign, or a no honking sign along Pacific as well. So there are other requests, please let us know.
Like no traffic permitted?
So we have a question here that I'm going to summarize and paraphrase effectively, because I know that you had touched on this in parts as part of your overall presentation where you showed some bulb outs. But can you summarize the traffic calming measures that are being installed as part of this question?
I think the very first one is the 4th Avenue, changing that from a two-way to a one-way. What that does is it eliminates the turn against pedestrians crossing on Flatbush Avenue. It also increases the amount of crossing time for pedestrians. It also reduces the distance that pedestrians have to cross 4th Avenue.
By 4 seconds.
And by 30 feet, it reduces the crossing distance, which reduces your exposure to traffic.
And having backed up. What's that mean?
Put a flyover, pedestrian flyover, and let traffic move, flow.
As soon as people have finished, I'll continue. So, I'm trying to answer the question. The second area will be along Flatbush Avenue. There are a number of locations that pedestrian bulbs are being introduced, or neck downs, and that does constrict the traffic, and it does reduce the crossing distance and make it easier for people to get across. The medians along Atlantic Avenue, in addition, do make it much easier for pedestrians to get across. And I think that there are probably a few other neck downs that I did mention, one at Fort Greene Place as well. So I'd like to just introduce, and you can wave to the crowd so everyone knows you're here. Hi, Councilmember Stephen Levin is here, who represents the 33rd Council District, a portion of this area. Sam, these are questions related to the treatments on the medians or lack thereof. One of them wants to know why there's no trees or greenery, and others are commenting on, what measures will be taken to prevent jaywalking onto the medians mid-block and protect both the pedestrians and the motorists from accidents that might result. There are no plantings that are planned at this time for the medians.
Why?
Maybe Forest City.
There's a Long Island, so the reason that there were never any planted medians in the project. All the medians are on top of the Long Island Railroad tunnel. That, we know from experience, is not a substantial structure, and there's not a lot of depth. If you look at the design of the planted medians that are being installed on Flatbush Avenue now, you can see that they are very heavy structures. We don't know at this point whether that roadway on Atlantic could even hold that type of structure. We, at this time, for arena opening, are going to be installing just the curb, because we know that the road structure can take the curb. After the arena is open, we can look into what the structural issues are. It's extremely complicated to, perform these structural studies and then come up with a design and then have the Long Island Railroad or the MTA or somebody take 6 months to say no, which they often do, or to say yes. So this matter of planted medians is something that needs to be taken up after the arena.
You can support cars, but not plants.
Try looking at the structure of the Flatbush Avenue median.
But trackway.
It sounds to me like we haven't been given a final answer on this one, but it's something that will be revisited once the arena is open. Sam, how did the plan overall deal with spillback issues at Flatbush and Lafayette?
It doesn't.
There are no changes that are being made to the intersection design at Flatbush and Lafayette. There are some signal timing changes. We will continue to monitor that location.
You're going to have an oblique left with truck traffic and all-surface transit turning there on the Livingston and on the Flatbush, and you don't think there's going to be a backup along Flatbush back out to Atlantic and completely destroy this mitigation? I guess not.
Okay, what are the routes to and from the actual parking lot?
Pacific Street is the entry to the parking lot, and you can enter from either Vanderbilt or Carlton. And is there
Still being worked out.
And any of the details on the parking lot are still being worked out.
So I'm going to read this question verbatim. It says, are the protrusions related to the construction of the permanent rail yard going to be removed from the north side of the Pacific Street sidewalk at 6th Avenue by the time of the arena opening? Because I've been told the answer is yes.
Is this the protrusion on 6th Avenue, right between Pacific and Atlantic?
That's the one I thought was.
Yeah.
No, it's the Long Island Railroad ramp and the utilities running across those going to be.
Oh, wait, you mean the NDR, the cable bridge?
No, the cable bridge and the ramp are those.
No, those are not going to be. The yard is going to continue to be constructed for years or so after that.
But those protrude out to within 5 feet
people live here.
So there are these construction elements which protrude right at 6th and Pacific across from the arena, and you'll be making a 2-foot wide sidewalk for several, probably 10, 15 feet.
We'll look at that schedule. We'll look at that schedule and make sure that that's not happening.
So, no, it seems to be happening. So that will be.
I think it would be, because I don't think that bridge, I'll have to find out when that cable bridge goes away. But I don't think it's coordinated with the opening of the Charleston Bridge. So let me find out.
What is the weight?
Okay,
We'll get back to you, but there's no way DOT would approve
weight?
2 feet being left open for
Yeah, but
pedestrians.
it could be a temporary condition, so let me find out.
What is the weight?
2016, correct? So it could be 4 years?
We'll get back to you, but I can tell you that even under an MPT, they're not going to allow for 2 feet of the sidewalk.
So,
But we'll get back to you on it.
Peter, thank you for always eagle eyes in the community. Will Atlantic Avenue be resurfaced between Flatbush and Vanderbilt?
Atlantic Avenue on the south side will be resurfaced between Flatbush and Vanderbilt. Flatbush and 6th. Okay.
6. You mean Vanderbilt, don't you?
No, 6th.
They can't afford any more tarmac. He means 6.
Well, let me answer that question.
Okay, Department of
Let me
Transportation.
answer that question. So there's a number of different projects going on here, and so some of the projects are Forest City related, some are not Forest City related, and so basically you have the project that Sam was referring to, the work that's happening in this mitigation is going to involve paving on this arena block on the south side. There's also a Carlton Avenue bridge, part of what Forest City is doing, that's also going to involve some milling paving on the south side. Finally, there is a third project that's actually unrelated to Atlantic Yards. It's being executed by the city's Department of Design and Construction, and it's essentially a water and sewer project. It's an infrastructure project that's needed, which will include infrastructure work on the north side of Atlantic between Carlton and Vanderbilt, and that will also include a full mill and pave when they're all said and done, which will be before the arena opens. There are currently, with all these projects, a few locations on Atlantic Avenue that are not spoken for in terms of milling and paving. We're going to be working with DDC, with Forest City Radnor. If we need to involve our own forces, we'll do that too. But certainly, I think fairly say that what we all want to see is that when the arena opens, Atlantic Avenue between Flatbush Avenue and Vanderbilt will be fully milled and paved.
Thank you, Chris.